Hey guys, I'm the Bird here, and I'm going to show you how to make the very best jumper effect in After Effects. Now, before we get started, I just want to say that if you don't have much experience with After Effects, I would suggest getting more comfortable before trying this. Not only that, but I combine these effects from Dylan P23, Lumen 6491, and Effects Freak, and I'll mention them throughout the video. Alright, so what we're basically going to do is, if we go through here, as you can see, the body kind of gets distorted, almost kind of gets ripped apart, and we have a ripple effect in the background, a smoke effect, and a camera shake. First two we're going to be doing today, or excuse me, first three. In part one, we're going to make the masks for the jumper. We are going to do the kind of disintegration effect and the ripple in the background for part one. Alright, so let's get started. First, what we need to do is make a new composition. I prefer it in 30 frames per second. However, if you record it at a different speed, go ahead and put that. Then you want two shots. The first one needs to be a background shot, where you just have a couple seconds of background, and the other where you're actually doing the jumping motion. So we're going to put that on top. We're going to rename the background to background. And this one we're going to call jump. Alright, so what we want to do is get to the point where you kind of start to lunge or lean, or however you did it. For me, it's about right there. What you want to do is make sure jump is selected and go to edit, split layer. This can also be done with Control-Shift-D, which is what I'm going to keep doing throughout the video. Alright, the next thing we want to do is find the next point where you kind of jump right back in, which is about, for me, right there. Then we'll hit Control-Shift-D again to split it. Now your second layer, you can just delete that. Drag this over. Now what we want to do is zoom in onto the jump footage. I'm going to go to the end and count back 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. And select Control-Shift-D. We're going to rename this to jump out. Alright, now that we've done that, what we want to do is use the pen tool and create a mask around the body of the thing that's jumping. This doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll want to get it close enough. Alright, now that we have that, go back to your select tool, select the jump out, and select F on your keyboard. This will bring up the feathering for your mask. And you want to bring the mask feather up to about 5 or 6, somewhere along those lines. Alright, now that we've done that, make sure jump out is selected. Then go to Effect, Distort, Displacement Map. What you want to do is use the horizontal to kind of point it in the direction where you're kind of jumping, and the vertical to go down, so that kind of get this big distortion effect. Next, we'll go to Effect, Distort, and go down to Turbulent Displace. You want to bring the size down to your liking. I like it kind of around there. Bring the amount up or down. Again, I'm going to have it right there. Next, what we want to do is select jump out and hit M on the keyboard. This will bring up our mask. With mask expansion, this is basically going to give that shrinking effect. So what we want to do now is select the keyframe and make it at the beginning, go all the way to the end, or at least the frame right before the end, and you want to bring it all the way down until it looks like that. somewhere along those lines. It's smaller. So now, what we basically get is this nice effect where we just kind of shrink out of the area. Alright, now that we have that first jump, we're going to basically do that again to when you're jumping back in. So, with the top footage, we're going to go to the beginning, count 1, 2, 3, 4 frames forward, select Control-Shift-D, this will split it, and we're going to rename this to Jump In. Now Jump In selected, go to the beginning, we're going to make another mask. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to do the same thing again, select the Jump In, hit F on your keyboard, bring the feather up to about 5, select Jump In again, we're going to go to Effect, Distort, Displacement Map, and since I'm kind of coming in from the left, I'm going to move it left a little, and maybe up for this instance, because I'm kind of jumping back in. Alright, now we go to Effect, Distort, Turbulent Displace. Tweak it to your liking. Yeah, that's good for me. Now we select Jump In again, hit M. Now we have our mask expansion. Now since you're coming back in, you want to do the reverse effect. So if we go to the end, hit the keyframe button, then we go all the way to the beginning, and we shrink it, we get the nice effect where you jump back in, like that. And now this still doesn't look clean enough, so what we need to do now is go to the middle of your first jump, which is jump out. We're going to drag jump in right to the middle. And then your jump forward footage, we're going to drag to the end so that we have a consistent footage. Now, if we go through it frame by frame, you can see we get that kind of perfect jumper effect. Okay, now that we have that, what we're going to do is basically create that kind of disintegrating effect for when you're actually jumping. So what we want to do is go to Layer, New, Solid. What we want to do is go to Effect, Noise and Grain, Fractal Noise. Increase the contrast up to about 500. Now this part I kind of got mostly from Dylan V23. Okay, now that we've done that, we want to drag that right over Jump Out, go to the beginning of Jump Out like such, select Black Solid, and on your keyboard if you hit Alt left bracket, then you go one frame before that ends, Alt right bracket, you've now made it just as long as your video. So now we have that selected, go to Jump Out, Track Matte, Luma Inverted Matte. It'll be right at the bottom. So now you can see we have that great disintegrating effect. However, it just kind of stays in the same place, and that's what we don't want. So, select the black solid one, and we want to select keyframes for the contrast and brightness. Go to the end of the video, and increase the brightness just a little. So now, we have that disintegrating effect. Alright, what we need to do now is do the same thing for the jump in. So, if you select the black solid one, go to edit, copy, which can be done with Control C, then we edit, paste it back in, which you can do with Control V. You want to put it right on top of jump in, and we want to drag jump 4 below jump in. I'll explain why in a minute. Select your jump in, or excuse me, black solid 1, drag it right over jump in. And this time, decheck your the keyframe settings for these. And this time, like before, we're going to go to the beginning, make a keyframe, go to the, or excuse me, that's the end, I'm sorry, at the beginning. We want to increase the brightness just a little to about 24. We get that. Well, you can't see it yet, so go to jump in, forgot to add, go to track matte, Luma Inverted. There we go. So now you can see you get that disintegrating effect back in. And the nice thing is about the black solid is that you can move it to however you want to get that effect you want. So there. Now we have our jump, disintegrating effect, and we're almost done with part 1. Okay, now what we're going to do is basically make that ripple effect in the background, right around here. So what we want to do now is if you select the top footage, hold down shift, select the bottom footage, you'll select everything. And we'll go to layer, pre-compose. We'll call this pre-wave. Alright, now that we have that, what we want to do is go to composition, new composition, and we'll call this ellipse. You'll see why. Okay, now if you go to the project pane, and we select pre-wave, and drag it in. What's nice about this is that anything we edit on this side gets edited on this side, and vice versa. So we want to get to the frame where you jump. Just right about there. Okay, now go to layer, new, solid. Go to effect, generate, ellipse. Make the inside color white and the outside color white, like such. Move the ellipse right to the center of where your first jump is. We're going to increase the thickness to about 90, like that. The next thing we want to do is select or make keyframes for the width, height, and thickness. I did that by just, if you hold it down and go to scroll down, it'll do the same thing, like that. Alright, once you've done that, scroll to right about where you just get back from jumping, right about there. We want to increase the width and the height. Now we can't have that big gap in there, so we need to increase the thickness even more, all the way to about 279. Decrease the width and the height so you get this nice kind of oval shape, like that. Now it's too thick, so I'm just gonna do a decrease that. Alright, there we go. Alright, now we're going to want to do is use the rotate tool and point it in the direction to where you're jumping. I was jumping from here to there, so that's why I'm pointing it that way. Now what we want to do is make sure the black solid is selected. We're going to go to Effect, Distort, Turbulent Displace. Bring the amount way up and the size down to about 7. Make sure the amount is really high, so you get this weird, almost like tendrils or something. Alright, now what we want to do is have this, our little ellipse. This is what's going to create that ripple effect. So what we want to do is select black solid 2 and hit T on the keyboard. This will bring up your opacity. So go to the frame just before it gets at its biggest point, which is right here, and make a keyframe. Now what we want to do is go forward about 5 or 4 frames and bring the opacity down to 0. Then we want to go back to the first frame, go right to where you begin to jump, it's like make it 0. Now we get this kind of fade in and fade out effect. Alright, we're almost done. Now what you want to do is take the black solid 2, drag it right under pre-wave, and on this little seeing eye, uncheck it for pre-wave. So all you see is this. And now if we go back to comp 1, alright, and go to our project, what we do is go to ellipse and drag that right under. Now select the pre-wave, go to effect, distort, displacement map. This effect I also got from Dylan P23. And so what we want to do is on displacement map thing, I can't read that, select ellipse, to increase the horizontal and vertical just a little so we can see what's going on. Now if we scrub through, we can see in the background right there. I'll move it so you guys can really see. We get this nice ripple, like that. Congratulations, you're done with part 1. I'll see you guys in part 2, so go check that out, and I'll see you guys later.